Hi, and welcome to Shia's Room. I'm Beverly Briggs, your host, and with me is Leon R. Walker, the master himself. Say hi, Leon.
Hey Beverly, how you doing? Thanks for having me today.
Yes, it's so wonderful having you on with me. And today we would be exploring the truth behind narcissism.
hmm
Narcissism.
Yeah,
Yes.
you
And
got it.
for those of my supporters, you know I struggle on this word. I will get it one of these days, though. But
You got it.
we have with us someone. What's that?
No, you good. I'm with you.
We have with us someone who have been diagnosed. He did self-diagnose himself. Um, when he recognized that something wasn't wrong, he diagnosed himself by doing a lot of research and coming up with what his problem was. And he decided, you know what? I am not going to stay here because my father, my parents have left me a better legacy. Today we hear so many persons talking about this particular disorder. And frankly, I hear it so much, sometimes you wonder who is really suffering from this personality disorder and who is not. But this evening, we want to go in with Leon and explore what he did in order to become a victor. But not just that. We want to go into his background. There are so many things that take place in our background that we take for granted. You hear a lot of persons talk about it, but it has become so prevalent that we fail to recognize just how much damage it is doing to us. And this would be our discussion this evening as you join with us. We are happy to have you. As usual, on Share's Room, we love it when you drop your comments and when you send love to our guests. So Leon is here and he would receive your love with grace.
That's right.
He would be really happy to know that you are with him. His purpose is to inspire others. He is a mentor and he's a coach. And he came on this program at this point in time to inspire someone who may be viewing at this time or maybe later. And so, Leon, please tell us something about yourself. Tell us a little about yourself.
Served 32 years in the Navy, retired in August of 2015, joined in 1983. I'm from Cleveland, Ohio. I joined in Cleveland, Ohio. I'm currently dating. I have 3 kids, 4 god kids, been divorced for since 2007, going on 14 years. I love to eat. I love to laugh. I love to smile. I love comedy. I love great food. Love to exercise. I'm a reader. Started writing books in 2016 about my life. And just last year, I added in um, another skill set I have to speak about relationships, and I'll start writing about relationships. So I released my first book in 2018 called Broken: Survival Instincts of a Child. And then my second book was an ebook, Keeping Kids Safe from Porn. And then my current book is called Love Ship, released that on Valentine's Day of this year. So currently 2 more books coming out this year, another one about relationships, the loveless traits, and then my second memoir. So that's me in a nutshell. Pretty happy-go-lucky type of guy, very social, and I love helping people.
Yes. So, a Facebook user said, looking forward to this discussion. Yes, and I'm sure Leon is looking forward to having discussion with us. Now, remember, uh, we see you come up as Facebook user. So we're asking that you just drop your name so that when we talk about your comment or when we mention you, we can mention you by name, whoever you are. Yes, Leon. Usually I start with the background and I come forward. But because this topic is so wide and we definitely will have to have a part two, I am going to ask you to just give us an idea of why it is you know that something was wrong, and what were you doing that was so wrong, and what caused you to want that change.
So what I was doing was so wrong. I was addicted to porn. I was addicted to women. I was addicted to hurting women, and it started from my childhood. A lot of women and men, they suppress their childhood. They block it out, act like it didn't happen. But I knew I had major issues when it came to relationships. I knew I had major issues when it came to women. I loved women, but my deep concern was my lust for women. I didn't want to love anybody because had a broken childhood. I had great parents. My parents divorced in 1979, and that started my downward spiral. Before that, I had my addiction to porn. I was molested for the first time in the first grade, and then I lost my virginity to my babysitter when I was 8. I was addicted to porn at 7, and I had a male member of my family was touching me. So that went on and off and on, and I was always struggling and trying to, protect myself. That's why I'm a protector now. I could be overbearing sometimes, but I'm overprotective of my kids and my girlfriend. But and I was overprotective of my ex-girlfriend and my wife, at my past wife, previous wife, ex-wife. And so it was because of the issues I had of this male family member always wanting to touch me. There was never any intercourse, but he was always wanting to touch me when family wasn't around. And I didn't tell anybody for a long time. I didn't say anything to anybody until I started writing my books in 2018. But I knew I had an issue because I was afraid to love. I was afraid to hold hands. I was afraid to cuddle. But I was addicted to women. I was afraid of hurting women, but I wanted to hurt women because it made me feel good. It made me feel secure. It made me feel confident. And so I knew I had issues, but I had never told anybody, I had never talked to anybody. And then I wanted to hide them because I didn't want to go to see a psychiatrist as a child, knowing that I would one day join the military. I knew I was going to join the military when I was probably 9 years old. So I didn't want to have any issues later on in life when it was time to join the military. So I suppressed it, but it came out in all of my relationships. It came out in how I was treating my girlfriends. It came out in how I was treating my kids. I was mean, I was overbearing, I was cocky, I was overconfident. And so I knew I had to see a doctor about this, but I didn't see a doctor until a psychiatrist, a social worker, until I was 50 years old.
Okay. So we have a Facebook user who said good night again. I'm not sure who you are, so just drop your name in the comments. Andrea Mason says, hello, Miss Beverly, powerful content, amazing topic. Thank you, Andrea. Thank you very much. Yes, Walker. No, when I listened to your testimony, you went in to talk about because I have spoken to a lot of persons, and I myself, I remember I was introduced to certain things, sexual things, at a very young age, and talking to a lot of friends and a lot of persons, you recognize that there were always an older cousin or an older sibling or
Right.
a neighbor that introduced them to sex or sexual behaviors at a young age. And oftentimes, especially when you hear the guys talk, they talk about it with pride, as though, it was something that was so good that said, please, I want you to talk about that. Tell us, why was it so dangerous? What, because I know you talked about cousins or a cousin who introduced you, and from a very young age you started to uh, be involved with sexual activity. So talk to us about that at this point in time.
So it was dangerous because what happened to me with my cousins, they put me on the path to only look at women as sex objects only, as toys only. After that happened to me, I didn't look at women as nurturers or leaders or providers or protectors. I looked at women as if they were trying to hurt me. They were going to hurt me. So I moved forward in my life thinking the same way. And then in 1979, when we lost our house, my mother sent me to live with a lady that I didn't know. So I felt like, my mother abandoned me as well. So I had my two cousins, my babysitter, and my mother. I could have blamed things on the male family member as well, but it was four women and one guy. So I had to make a choice. All right, I'm gonna start attacking women. I wasn't physically abusive at all, but I was verbally abusive. But I always used to pride myself on saying, you know what, I'm not taking their money. I don't accept gifts. But I was taking their heart. I was taking their soul. I was disrupting their spirit. And as a little child, when my cousins molested me, my babysitter got me. It was like, who do I tell? How do I tell somebody as a little boy that a woman took my virginity? That's like a badge of honor for me. For young men, it was for me. It's like, yay, I'm having sex at 8 years old. And so I always looked at women as just sex objects and nothing more. And so I go through high school and then I joined the Navy where I'm exposed to these women around the world, exotic women, Australia, Thailand, Singapore, Hong Kong, Canada, China, Thailand, Africa, all over the world. And so I go into the Navy with these morals, or not a lack of morals, a lack of concern with the woman's heart or her spirit or her soul. And so I was seeing all these other women with my cousin's face, my babysitter's face, and I will always remember what happened to me as a child. So I use that as an excuse to be promiscuous instead of getting help. I wanted to continue doing what I was doing, and I was easily influenced by the grown men in the Navy that were hustlers and players and whoremongers. I was all about that life. I was all about being with the devil. I didn't want to be with God. I didn't believe in God. The devil gave me what I wanted in life. The devil fed my soul. He fed my rotten soul. He fed my lust and my greed. And I was happy with that because that's all I knew. I didn't know anything about family morals. How do you know anything about family morals if your family's broken up at 11 years old? How do you know anything about family morals if you lose your house at 11 years old? If you're homeless at 11 years old? How do you know anything about family morals if you live with a lady that you don't even know? And because of the porn, I was attracted to older women. Girls my age couldn't do anything for me. They didn't excite me at all. They didn't get me going. I was attracted to older, well-developed women. And so I started studying women in porn to hurt the women outside of porn. And that was a benchmark for me as and women, and so it was a badge of honor to lose my virginity at 8 years old. And I truly believed that. And it hurt me in all of my relationships. I didn't know how to understand a woman. I couldn't relate to a woman and her wants and needs and desires. I was all about me. I was selfish. So that's why I knew that I had narcissistic traits after studying sociopaths and psychopaths and serial killers and narcissistic people. I knew I had those traits. I didn't have to go see a doctor to be diagnosed. I self-diagnosed myself. But I didn't change because being in the Navy, the more women you have, the more popular you have. The more you drink, the more popular you have. The more you fight, the more popular you are. And so that's who I had become. But I knew it was feeling odd to me. My stomach would always hurt. I was having headaches when I would lie to a lady. My stomach would hurt. I would get nervous, but I had to be calm because I didn't want her to overtake me. I didn't want her to start to control me. I didn't want her to boss me around and break my heart because I'd already had my heart broken at 5 years old by family members. 90% of the little boys, one in three, and 1 in 6 little girls, 1 in 3 little boys, by the age of 18 will be molested or raped. 90% of the people that molest or rape are people that you know, love, and trust. And I fell in all of those categories. So I was put on a dark path early on by people that were put on a dark path just like me. So I had no recourse. I had access to doctors and psychiatrists and social workers in my entire Navy career, but I chose not to use them because I was okay with being this evil, cold-hearted young man.
Hmm. Hmm. Good night, Iffy. Uh, there's a Facebook user to say hi, honey, thanks. Not sure who you are, so please don't forget if you have not given StreamYard the permission to display your name, please put your name if you would like us to shout your by name. And someone say, good night, guys, good night. You are also coming up as Facebook user. Yes, Walker. I really want to talk to the fact that you had these older persons take advantage of you. No, I remember speaking to this guy, and he boasts that when he was 3 years old, there was this lady that came home, a friend of his father, and she would allow him to, touch her inappropriately. And he felt as if at 3, he was already in the game. And I know that that person is suffering from a lot of personality disorder, not just narcissistic, but a lot of personality disorder today. So I really, really, I would like, did you do any research? Why is it so prominent and why is it an oversight as to us dealing with personality or disorders when we get older?
Well, a lot of it stems from embarrassment. I was embarrassed
Mm-hmm.
about it too. I didn't talk about it. A lot of it stems from suppressing it and not knowing what to do. As far as black men, we don't like to go to the doctor. We don't like to get help. We don't like to admit those things. Who wants to admit that they were molested and raped by family members? Who wants to admit that a male member touched their body parts? What man wants to admit that? I didn't want to admit that for years until I turned 48, actually 50, when I started seeing a psychiatrist and a social worker. I had to admit to, because I had serious and severe anger issues because of that. I had anger issues towards pedophiles. I had anger issues towards bullies. And I'm not a fighter. I'm not a bully. I became a bully, and the first person I started bullying was my sister. But I'm not a fighter. I know how to box, but I didn't want to lash out at people that I knew were touching young kids and pedophiles. They were either in jail too far away, but I knew that if I could get around somebody like that, I would hurt them, because I was taking my anger on them, because based on what was done to me by another male member. Again, there was never any type of penetration, but he was touching me. And so I never told anybody until 2018. And so a lot of times black men don't want to admit to that. They're afraid, they're embarrassed, and they don't think. Now, another thing, when you talk about it as a kid in the family, especially down south, the families tell you to be quiet. Don't talk about that. It's taboo. You don't talk about your uncle touching you or your cousin touching you, whomever. But it's prominent in the black family, especially down south. I have friends that have gone through the same thing that I've gone through. So a lot of times it's from embarrassment, it's from fear of retaliation, it's from fear of family disliking you, not believing you, making you the black sheep. So people just deal with it and be quiet. But then they started acting out in their relationship, become verbally abusive, which I did. I was never physically abusive. They become cheaters, which I was. I was a liar. I was a deceiver, and I still had addictions to porn. I still had addictions to various women. I become very promiscuous. I had become very heartless, and I didn't care about hurting a woman's feelings. So I needed help bad. And then the fact that women would compliment me on, whether it's my build, my looks, whatever, that didn't do me any good. It made me even more arrogant and conceited. So if I knew that she liked the way I looked or the way I was built, I wasn't going to do anything more for her. I was going to help her out. It was always, my relationship was always based on a physical feeling, sex. All my relationships, they weren't based on anything mental. It wasn't based on anything spiritual. I didn't go to church. I didn't believe in church. So my relationships are based on everything that was shallow, all about me. And that's why I said I had to call myself out that I have these narcissistic traits and not expect a doctor to tell me that I had it, because I already knew I had it.
So before we move forward, tell me, what would you tell parents? What advice would you give to parents? Uh, because again, I'm saying it's an oversight. A lot of parents are not recognizing that the play that is going on a lot of times is not really the play that children should be involved in. They are not recognizing that a lot of times children are abused by older siblings or older family members or friends and the persons on the block, neighbors. Tell us where parents can, what parents can do actually to make sure that this is not an oversight.
Well, you have to ask questions. And the thing about it, it's all about your delivery. A lot of parents find out that their kids have been molested, or they know, or they heard about, or they think, or they watching porn, and they go, "What the hell?" They just jump right on them. No, it's all about your delivery. I didn't tell anybody until I was 50. My sister didn't know, my brother didn't know, my mother and father didn't know. They died not knowing that I was addicted to porn. They died not knowing that I was molested. And so here's some signs you can look at. A lot of kids go in their bedroom nowadays and lock the door, and they're on their computer and they're quiet. A lot of times when you leave the house as a parent, they hurry up and lock the door. They're agitated when you ask them questions. They get an attitude real quick. They have anger issues. You know, they may be masturbating a lot. A lot of kids are doing a lot of things. They spend a lot of time in the bathroom. They sleep long.
Mm-hmm.
They're in their bedroom. They don't shower. You know, they're antisocial. So you have to ask those questions and don't be quick to put your kids in front of a counselor or a social worker because that'll make them shut down, regardless of what the social worker says or does or the psychiatrist. And we talked to your son and he said, we can't tell you what your son or child said. So you want to make that connection with your child before you get them professional help, because you don't want them talking to a stranger, which they will, but you want to know what's going on, because those doctors and psychiatrists and psychotherapists are not allowed to tell your kids what the kids tell them. So you want to be, it's not like you have to be a friend to your child, but you want to be approachable as like a leader in the military or corporation or corporate America. As a parent, you have to be approachable. Some parents are not approachable because they always on the kids, and the kids gonna shut down. And you know what? They become rebellious, and they're like, you know what? I'm not gonna tell you, mom. They send it to themselves because you pissed me off. You yelled at me. These kids nowadays are not built like we're built. You can't raise kids the old school way because they don't understand that. So when the kid is holding secrets from you, they enjoy that. I have talks with a lot of kids. They'll tell me anything before they tell their parents. I have to be careful with that. But the kid will really enjoy not telling the parent their deep, dark secrets based on how you talk to your son or your daughter. I dealt with this. I have 3 kids. I have 4 godkids. So I know how to approach them. You have to approach them in a way that you are approachable and they can open up and talk to you, because those kids are hurt. Some of them are on pills. They smoke weed. They drink a lot. They want to commit suicide. I had 2 suicide ideations at 11 and 12 years old because I didn't tell anybody. I thought my father would get mad and beat up the male member of my family. I thought my mother would like not believe me. Oh, you just saying that. But so I kept it to myself. And it made me want to mask my pain with alcohol. Had I not been in the Navy, I could have masked my pain with crack or heroin, because I have a very addictive personality. I have a very extreme personality. So I would have, no doubt, had I not been in the Navy, I would have been a heroin addict, a crack addict, been in jail, or definitely been killed or murdered somebody.
So it is very uh, important. The strategy that we use to reach our kids is very, very, very important. Because I hear you say that you were afraid that your father would beat up the person. And these are things that children take into consideration. Just the mere idea that oftentimes the persons that does the abuse is persons that are close to you. As a child, you do not want to offend them, and you do not want them to get in trouble. And they know that. They know that, and that's why they choose to take advantage of you. So, as parents, we have to really be mindful of the relationship we have with our children and how we deal with the situations that they bring forward to us, because that will tell later on whether or not they would come to us and talk to us. Someone said
Right,
amazing topic.
right.
It truly is. Sherry Ann Cooper, hi, it's always so wonderful to have you on. She said for true, that for true, and I guess she was remarking to your comment that you gave earlier on. Yes. And so let's talk a little bit about porn. I was talking to a a psychologist, and we were speaking about abuse and being exposed to pornography at an early age was one of the things listed as an abuse that a child can go through, because they are exposed to something that they are not ready for. And it puts that kind of pressure on them and on their mind, and influences their action into a direction that they are not ready for. And they have the same side effects as any other abuse would have. So tell us, going a little in depth as to how pornography really affected you.
And so what happened was, and I wrote a book about it in 2017, an ebook called Porn: Keeping Kids Safe. It's only 99 cents on Amazon. I tried to give it away for free, but Amazon wouldn't allow me. So it's 99 cents on
Mm.
Amazon under my name, Leon Walker. The effects of porn, um, and what happens is you start seeing things that your mind is not ready for, but your body will react to it. You start desiring more. You start seeing women. For me, you start seeing women, well-developed women, and
Mm.
you like are surprised or shocked. And then you start, even in watching porn, you hear the sounds and you see the visions, and then you want to learn more. You become curious about that. I think that my growth and development was projected to earlier stages before it should have been. My mind definitely was by seeing the porn. And I was watching hours and hours of porn when my brother would sleep because we slept in the same bedroom. My parents never knew, so I was in the closet watching. But you know, kids,
Mm.
and they become amazed at what they've seen. They become um, you know experienced mentally, and then they want to
Mm.
practice those things. And you know, and it's the processing this stuff is not being a bad thing because they get excited and they know it's bad
Mm.
because they're speaking and they can't come out and say I'm watching porn. But when the longer you get away with it, the longer you're going to watch it. So I was
Right.
enticed. It was very enticing, the movies that I saw. You know, black men and white women, black men and Asian women, black men and black women. I saw it all, and so I wanted to see
Mm.
more. And then once you watch so
Mm.
much of it, you get used to it, and it's like, what's next? You know, let's talk about black men and Asian women. Then you're looking at women and women, that type of thing. So you want more. It's like a drug. It became my drug. Like heroin addicts, you know, crack addicts. Once they get that one hit or in their
Mm.
vein, they want more, and you chase that high. The first hit of crack might last 10 minutes. The first hit of myself seeing porn lasted for hours and days, and I wanted more, and I saw more, and I craved more, and I needed more, and I became excited, especially when I didn't get caught. And it was even more exciting when I was able to sit there and watch it, and nobody knew what I was watching. But
Mm.
I saw things that I should not have seen until I got older, but I saw it early in my life. And that's what derailed me for a long time. It became my addiction. That became my drug of choice.
Mm. So, and that will take me back to the thing of supervising our children when they are on the net. I remember my daughter, she got a tablet, and it was for children. And so you would think that it would not have porn in it. But we discovered that porn was constantly popping up in on her tablet, and I eventually had to take it from her. It is so important as parents to really, really monitor what our children are looking at, you know, to be able to, there are, we can set up our email in such a way that whatever they download, whatever sites they go on, it can come to our phones, it can come to our emails, because it is so very important that we really pay attention to what they are looking at. Um, this problem that you have, it didn't just affect the way that you see women, but it affected your marriage in a great way. Speak
Yeah,
to us about that.
it affected my marriage because, first of all, I wasn't ready to get married. I was very immature when I got married. I married a woman that was very mature, morally, characteristically, and her integrity was intact. So I wasn't ready to get married. So I looked at women, like I said, just based on sex and not her spirit, her attitude, her personality, where she's going in life, what she wants from life, what she wants from me. All I was about was sex, 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 and that was it. And when you meet somebody that's not thinking that way, which is good for her, you have a tendency in me to think that we're not compatible. Where we were, I just wasn't ready for her. I wasn't ready for a lot of women that I was with because they were more mature than I was, and they're in a relationship to be in a relationship, but I was in a relationship just for sex. I was in a relationship, but I was not relating, to what
Hmm.
I was physical and that was it. I could listen,
mm,
but I was communicating. I wasn't paying attention to her desires and her needs, or what she was
mm,
interested in. That's why I knew
mm,
I had some selfish issues, some selfish ways, and that's when the narcissistic stuff started. I started thinking about it, but I kept going because
mm,
I would go from one woman to the next. And besides that, I was always halfway in, halfway out, and not halfway in. So I wasn't totally committed because I was emotionally detached. I was dealing with emotional dysregulation. I wasn't about
mm.
commitment. I was afraid to commit to a woman because I had that
All
fear
right.
of her leaving me. I had a fear of her hurting me because my mother, I blame everything on my mother. My mother's a very loving, strong, solid lady. She was a great mother. She was a great wife. She's a great person. But
Mm,
all I saw was my mom leaving when we lost our house. All I saw was my
mm,
mother telling me, "You got to go live with her. You can't live with me." And I was like,
mm,
and it messed me up. It hurt me. So I thought all women were going to one day leave me. So I never gave myself fully to a woman. Sexually in
mm.
bed, you get 100%. Outside of bed, you get about 40% of me. I had to keep myself safe. I had to keep my heart safe because I didn't want to get hurt. And they weren't necessarily going to hurt me, but I
Mm.
made myself believe it so I didn't have to commit to them. That was my excuse.
All right. And so you didn't commit also in your marriage. You stepped out a couple of times, didn't you?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I did,
I,
and I did bad. I was wrong because she was a good woman. She was committed to me. I wasn't committed to her, and I knew better. I'm not gonna even lie and say I didn't know any better. I knew better. When I cheated in my relationships, it wasn't a mistake because I knew what I was doing. People lie when they say I made a mistake. I cheated. I made a mistake. I hit her on the butt. No, I knew what I was doing when I did it. I knew what I was doing before I did it. I planned to cheat. I didn't plan to be monogamous. I planned to be a cheater as a child. And it came back when I got older because I was deeply attracted to women, and women were
mm,
attracted to me. So that didn't do me any good. You attracted me with
mm.
me. We had sex the first 2, 3 days. After that, I lose interest. I wasn't there anymore.
So let's take a time and talk to women because it's not just you, but there were so many women that were willing to facilitate what you were doing. And some of them may not have been as willing, but they did facilitate it because probably they weren't aware of what to look out for. So speak to the woman. Um, speak to us.
Okay. Well, and I tell people this, and people always come back and say, "Well, you can't be too honest in the beginning. You got to ask questions in the beginning." I don't care
Mm,
if you're on a date eating spaghetti, chicken, ribs, it don't matter. You're gonna ask about a man's background, his lifestyle. I've dated and slept with and talked to thousands and thousands of women. Not
mm,
one woman ever asked me about my background. Not one woman knew that I was addicted to porn. Not one woman knew
mm,
that I was verbally abusive. Not one woman knew I was a cheater until I cheated, and they found out, until their heart was broke, until they were crying, until it was too late. Now, one woman knew. So we dating, we going to clubs, we going to movies, we going to plays, we going to the park, we eating dinner, we shopping. Now they're locked in. They're attracted to me, physically attracted to me, mentally attracted to me because I can hold a good conversation. But I was lying the whole time. I was making
mm,
things up. It wasn't real. But she didn't know that because had you asked me in the beginning, "Hey, Leanna, do you have any addictions as a child?" And a lot of women don't even ask that question. They're like, "Oh,
mm,
we don't want to go there. We don't want." No, you need to ask that question because
mm,
you could be dating a narcissist. You could be dating a rapist. You could be dating a killer. You could be dating a child molester. If you don't ask these questions,
mm,
you're going to be one of those people. You're going to be a victim. And all the women that I dated, including my wife, my ex-wife, became a victim. There's no difference between me and a serial killer the way I used to be. I just wasn't murdering people, but I was murdering a
mm,
woman's heart. I was murdering their soul and I was murdering their spirit. So I was no different. A lot of women see me like Ted Bundy, very attractive white guy, they say, educated, very intelligent. He was on college
mm,
campus killing women, but they were attracted to him. They say, "Oh, he's got
mm,
nice hair, he's tall, he's got a nice body," and they don't think to ask these questions because they have wants, needs, and desires
mm,
at the moment. So do I, and so did he. But he wound up killing them.
mm,
I didn't kill any women. I killed their spirit. I killed their
mhm.
hopes, killed their dreams. So I was no different than a serial killer. I just didn't murder anybody. So women, you need to ask the question. Don't just be attracted to a guy because he's tall, he's well endowed, he's got a nice house, he's got a nice car, he's got money. You need to know who you're sitting in front of. You need to know who's in your house. You need to know who's in your
Mm,
bed. You need to know who's around your
right.
children.
But let's keep it real though. Uh, would someone who is a narcissistic, would they answer these questions? Would they actually come out and say, okay, I am addicted to porn. I love dating women. I am with how many women? Would they actually come out and tell us as women those,
No,
would they give us those information?
not until they are ready to settle down and if they are tired of being a narcissistic person or having narcissistic traits. Before they're
Mm-hmm.
before they come open before they open up, become clean. No, it's gonna take a while until they meet somebody that they really love and really like and they don't want to hurt. I never really want to hurt women. I just wanted to control their mind and their body. But in doing so, I hurt women, and I didn't care because women hurt me, so I was paying them back, which was wrong. But narcissistic people are not going to tell you the truth because they're narcissists. They don't want you to tell them no. Narcissistic people don't want to. They don't like to lose. Narcissistic people like to control their victims. Narcissistic people will lie to you. Narcissistic people are two and three people. They're not just one person. So we could blame all of these issues on the other two, three people that we have, personalities. But they don't want to. They don't want to lose. They don't want to lose you. They're going to hurt you first. They're going to get out of the relationship before you get out of it because narcissistic people don't like to lose. They don't like to get hurt. And then they'll come back around every holiday or around your birthday, around Christmas, around special time that they know you're emotional and you want a gift or you want a hug or you want to have sex. They'll come around. They'll call. They'll send a text message. They'll show up. Yeah, I did all of that. So I didn't need a doctor to tell me I was narcissistic, but I have the traits. Maybe I was a narcissistic person, but I call myself out. But they're not going to tell you the truth up front because their goal and their agenda is to get you and control you and dominate you and hurt you and break you down to your lowest form.
So that brings me back to the question that I asked. Because I know that there are a lot of women that are married or dating to narcissistic persons. And okay, and guys too, but we want to speak to women because you're a guy, right? How do we spot? How can we know that this person that is coming and stepping to us is a narcissistic person? They have
You have
narcissistic
you have
personality disorder.
you have to ask the questions and watch our pattern. I'm not telling on anybody.
Mm-hmm.
You got to watch my pattern. You got to ask questions.
Mm-hmm.
You have to follow up. You have to hold me accountable. And pretty
Right.
soon, if I'm still a narcissistic person, I'm gonna give up, quick, run, hide. I'm gonna ghost you. I'm not gonna show up because
Mm-hmm.
narcissistic people don't like to be called out. We don't want you to know who we are until we get what we get from
Mm-hmm.
you. Once we get what we get from you and we tired of you and ready to move on to the next person, we don't care if you figure out who we are. But you got to ask the questions straight up. Are you narcissist? Do you know what a narcissist is? Do you have the traits? What was your dad like? So if a woman asked me what was my dad was like, they would have found out he was verbally abusive, and he had an extreme personality. Nobody ever asked me that. They asked my
Right.
mother, what was your mother like? My mother had a very addictive personality. I too have
Mm-hmm.
a very addictive personality. I was addicted to women and porn and sex. But nobody ever asked me about my parents. You have your traits,
Hmm.
you have your genetics, you have their DNA. Whether you choose to
Right.
use it, lose it, abuse it, I did all of that. Or fix it. I didn't do any of that until I got in my 40s. So, my parents gave me some great traits, but I used them for my greed and for my lust and to fill my voids of unhappiness, fill my
Mm-hmm.
voids of being emotionally detached. I needed those voids filled. So I lied to women to get them in bed. I knew I could date you. I could set up a nice date. I can have fun. I could take you around the world. I could take you around the city. But as far as being committed and coming back and having longevity and staying power, I wasn't about that.
I know that uh, narcissistic. persons are great strategic persons also. They think. And so you are saying to us, know our worth, take our time, get to know the person, get to know their family. Don't just jump into bed or don't just give our heart.
As soon as you
Uh,
jump in bed, it's over with. The first few days, as soon as you jump into
mm,
bed with them, you're not gonna get anything else. You got to either make them wait.
mm,
If they're legit and loyal, they'll wait. If they're not, they'll move on to the next person. But you'll find out sooner as opposed to later when you get your heart broke what type of person he or she is.
mhm. So one day you had this defining moment where you sat down and you said, you know what, I need to find out what is wrong with me and I need to make it right. So give us a bit of that journey where you were able to sit down and come to that place where you couldn't live outside of your purpose. You couldn't live outside of who you know you were created to be. And you just needed to make that decision for yourself that would set you on on a straight path, on a better journey, and to be able to respect women as you know that they should be respected.
So I got tired of being disrespectful, lying. I got tired of not living like my dad. My father was, like I said, promiscuous dude. Didn't have a lot of women. Women loved him. Women were acting, but after him. But I was greedy. I got tired of having sins in my soul, greed, lust. I got tired of that. I got tired of misleading people. I got tired of lying to people. I got tired of being fake and phony. I have two sons and a daughter. I got tired of my kids. Like one day, I got to tell them the truth. I got tired of building on this my building on this facade that I had. I got tired of making it worse year after year after year after year. I knew I would have to come clean with my kids, but I mainly got tired of misleading God. God had me all the time, but I didn't have Him. I just got tired of it. And then when I did something wrong with the one, when I lied or cheated, my karma was instant. I get slapped up the head quick by God. And I just got tired of hurting. I got tired of hurting other people. I got tired of looking in the woman's face and seeing her crying and not care. I was just a cold, calculating type of dude, very compelling and, like convincing. I just got tired of being fake and phony and lying. It just wore me out. It was draining. And so my soul was off. I was always off kilter. I was always like, uneasy and it felt bad. I got tired of it. And then I got tired of not having a good woman. I've had plenty of women. I ran through women, but I got tired of just being single. And it's like, you know what? I got to start doing good. I got tired of being misled by people that were just like me. I wasn't changing. I wasn't getting any better. And my health was declining because of it. And so I just like, I need to stop doing this because it's not going to lead to anywhere but death or hell or more dysfunction. So I got tired of like letting people down. The men that taught me a lot of great morals in the Navy, I got tired of like calling them and say, hey man, I did it again. I messed up. Man, I
Mm,
need help, bro. I can't. I'm hurting, bro. I did it again. I lost my girl. I cheated on my wife. I did all of this stuff. I got tired of
mm,
living that way. Tired. And then it became to where sex wasn't that important to me. It was always important, but it wasn't a priority. I wanted to
right.
love a woman. I wanted to care for a woman. I wanted to be monogamous. I wanted to have a fruitful,
Mm,
healthy life and relationship, but it was all unhealthy. And I got tired of breaking women's hearts. I got tired of hurting women's parents and their fathers and their brothers and uncles look at me like, dude, you're a piece of crap. How did you do this to my sister or my daughter? I just got
mm,
tired.
right. And so for those persons who are struggling with this disorder, you are here now to let them know that they don't have to, sometimes I think majority of the persons who have this disorder become tired. But many times when we look at our life and we look at the long list of wrongs that we have behind us, we feel that we cannot forgive ourselves. We feel that God cannot forgive us. But you, Leon, is saying you can't forgive yourself. And God has forgiven you. I asked you if you believe in God, and you didn't hesitate to say yes. Look already, you're smiling,
Right,
right?
right. Yeah, yeah,
Because you know. and you understand the depth of God love now that you know that He has forgiven you. And so you want others to know, listen, you can be forgiven and you can change this around. You don't always have to live being tired and out of purpose, but you can make that decision. You know, the decision is always ours to turn our whole life around. So just give us some pointers. Yes, they heard that you were able to find out what was wrong and why, you know, you were thinking how you were thinking and acting how you were acting. But then there's a journey when you decide to turn your life around. One that the decisions that you have to make that would help you to reach where you are now, right? You are in a relationship, right? I heard you said you're dating.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
And you are faithful,
Yes.
right?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yes. So we just want you to give us a little bit of that journey. What did you do? What were the steps that you take
So
that you took? Sorry.
I realized that it felt good to be, first of all, alone and to do some soul searching. And I realized how despicable I was. I looked at my whole life and all the women I was dating, and my whole 32 years in the Navy, I had been in and out relationships. I had never settled with one woman. And I was like,
Mm,
man, here's a challenge, Leon. Can you be faithful to one woman? But I always knew that I could because I felt that trait in my soul. I felt bad when I would lie and cheat. So I'm like, well, why am I doing this? But I was relying more on my addiction to that feeling that I had from my babysitter when I got that
mm,
feeling from her at 8 years old and felt
mm,
good to me. It consumed my body. So I was searching for that drug. I was searching for that feeling. I was searching for that high. But all the time, I'm like, why don't you search for this? Can you get high on life? Can you get high on being with a woman that has a beautiful personality? Can you get high on being faithful to one woman? Can you get high off of a woman being faithful to you? Can you get high off of saying, you know what, I don't cheat on you. I love you. I'm having fun. I got tired of like being out and like ducking and dodging and turning my phone off and hiding my phone. That was draining to me. I'm like, just stop. Because
mm.
I found that I can get the same thing from one woman that I was trying to get from 10 women, and it wasn't much that I needed. I just needed sexually, I get that, but there was more to these women that I didn't take the time and look for, somebody that I could connect with. I wanted chemistry, I wanted compatibility, and I was missing that. I was only missing that because I wasn't searching
Right.
for it. I was searching for one thing. And I'm like, dude, you got more in
Mm,
you finding these women that they can find in you. I wanted to be a cohesive unit. I wanted to be with one woman. I wanted to be, compatible. I wanted to feel the emotions from the chemistry of somebody that understands me. I wanted to be attracted to a woman's mind, her words, her ability to help me grow, her ability to motivate me. I didn't have that. I was spreading myself so thin. I'm looking at all these different women, and I'm just tired of being tired. I'm tired of being worn down. I'm tired of
mm,
stinking. I'm tired of thinking crazy. I'm tired of having sleepless nights. I'm tired of having headaches because I'm afraid that she may call or she may call. So it just killed my spirit. And when my spirit was killed, I couldn't even get up and go to work. I couldn't sleep at night.
mm.
I couldn't eat. And so, but I was doing it to myself. It wasn't inflicted
Right.
by anybody else. It's self-inflicted wounds. So I got tired of
Mm,
you have people that cut themselves, right? Call them cut.
mm-hmm.
But I was cutting my mind. I was destroying
Mm,
my mind. And I felt it, where I couldn't communicate, I couldn't talk, I couldn't be honest until I said,
mm.
you know what, I'm done, I'm pure, I'm clean. Here's Leon. This is who I am. Take me or leave me, help me out, make me better.
Okay. So every day you make decisions,
Every day.
and as you move forward, you just continue to make these different decisions until
Right.
today you are happily dating. Yeah.
Yeah. I wanted to be happy, wholesome. I want to be
Mhm.
wholesome. I want to be happy. My grandparents never divorced. I got uncles that never divorced. My parents divorced, but there is longevity and staying power in the men in my family. And I knew that I had that. I want to be a
Mhm.
part of that. I was a player for years. I was a cheater for years. What else can you do differently? I like to challenge myself. My hardest challenge was, Can you be faithful to one woman? But I always knew that I could. I just never did it.
Right. So, what are your last words that you would like to leave with our viewers today?
Um, don't be afraid to get help. Call yourself out, right? You can love one woman. You can be happy with one woman. You can live 30, 40, 50 years until you guys die together with one woman. You don't need to spread yourself thin like I was doing. You can be committed to somebody regardless of your past, regardless of your addictions. We were put on this earth to be monogamous. I was created
Mm,
to be promiscuous. And I use it as an example to continue to be promiscuous, to continue to feed my greed and my lust and my love for women and my addictions to porn and drinking alcohol. I was created to do that, but I held on to it because it's what resonated with my rotten soul. Now, when
mm,
I started to pure myself and open myself up to God, it felt better. I felt lighter. I
mm-hmm.
slept better.
Right.
I didn't have the fears of waking up and looking at my phone and, oh, she caught me cheating or getting a bad phone call. I didn't keyed your car. You ought to cut your tires. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
bust your windshield. I'm looking at the window like, what's going on with my car? I got tired of
Mm-hmm.
it, but I was creating that person. I was creating these women.
Mm-hmm.
They could have been loving
Mm-hmm.
and caring women, but I made them devils just like
Right.
me because I was hurting their soul and their spirit, lying to them, misleading them. So you can be honest with one person. You can love a person for the rest of your life, and it'll be healthy and wise to do that.
And so you heard Leon Walker was story. It's an amazing story. I hear about so many persons who have to struggle with spouses or partners that they are dating who are narcissistic. And many times when I speak to persons, it sounds as if they are in a hopeless situation. And so we just want to let you know that it's not a hopeless situation. Beyond getting support, which is very, very important, very, very important, is prevention. And uh, prevention also includes getting support, getting help. Uh, but when we're talking about prevention, we are speaking about parenting also. We need to look out for our children. We need to know where they are at. We need to know what they are looking at. It's not always easy. I'm a parent. I'm a parent of three, and I struggle with that arena. I struggle in that arena. Uh, but we really do need to. We need to have healthy rapport. From time to time, I get my children and I sit down with them and I ask them questions and I listen to them. I said, okay, somewhere mommy's doing something that you don't like. What is it? Talk to me. Let me know. And
Right.
we have these healthy rapport where they are able to come to me the other day. My son came to me with a matter, and I and all was shocked and elated that he felt that he was able to come to me about it. And so we are the ones that have to create that atmosphere that our children are able to come to us.
Hmm.
3 out of every 5 women are being abused. For the men, I want to believe it's just as high. We just don't have a lot of men coming forward. But now we have a lot of men that are choosing to come forward, like Leon. And we need to do something about it. Because when we get older, when our children get older and they have to get married, uh, we do not want them marrying to someone who have narcissistic
No, you
personality
don't want
disorder.
that. No,
We do
I
not
don't.
want that.
Yeah, I don't want my daughter to meet
It's a
nobody like.
life of hell, right?
Yeah, I don't want my daughter to meet a guy like me because I'm gonna have to help her and guide her through that. And it's a life of terror. It's a life of heartache. It's a life of heartbreak. It's a life of lies and deceit. And I don't want her to go through that.
Right. And at all, I have 2 daughters. and a son, because it's not just limited to men. There are men and women who are narcissistic.
Yeah, big time.
Uh, yeah. And so, and on top of that, it's also painful for parents to look at their child throwing away themselves or abusing others. And so we do not want our children to come out narcissistic either.
You got it.
So
No,
you realize I have to keep looking down at my book, right?
right. That's good.
Oh, but one day one day I will get that word correct.
You got it.
But without reading it, right? So we are encouraging you. We, let's look out for each other. Let's look out for our children.
Definitely.
Let's look out for ourselves. Let's look out for the generation to come. It is time that we start eradicating abuse, because abuse is the underlying source of many problems that we have today: depression, suicide. Talk about it. Abuse is the underlying source of many of them. And so it is time that we stand up and to prevent these things from happening by first standing up for our children and also standing up for ourselves. Hi, Jenny B. Jenny B says, thanks for sharing, and that would be to you, Leanne Walker. That's my
Uh,
mother. Mommy, thank you for viewing and supporting. Just a wonderful thing to have you on. And so that is it for this time until next week, Tuesday. I promise to bring back Leon Walker, because there are lots of things that we can still dive into.
yeah.
And so we are encouraging you to have a blessed one. Bye for
Thank you for
now.
having me. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me. I enjoyed it. Talk to you later.
Ah, thank you for thank you for taking up the invitation of being
Yes.
on Shia's Room.
Yeah. Anytime.
Yeah.
You have me back. I'll be here.